Good. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to week number 4 of the Orgasmic Mastery. And last week was all about letting go, about surrendering, about using the tool of our body and dance in order to get into a flow state where we can really let go of all our thoughts and our mind, enter our body, and then really feeling deeply, intensely with all our senses. And we really wanted to get into a state where we don't think anymore about what we're doing, we're just experiencing. So we're coming back into the moment, into the full experience of life. And this dancing exercise was much more than just an analogy and a metaphor for what we are doing, but really a gateway to the the sexual experience and the expansiveness that you can feel and have that is possible. So I really encourage you to keep on practicing with dance or other means, whatever fits you best, and then also take it and apply it to any sexual context where you feel, okay, this is a moment where I can let go a little more, where I can surrender a little more, where I can, reduce the mind in the experience, because at the moment it might not be needed anymore, at least for a short period of time, in order to enter the full experience. So last week, to recap, you had the dance exercise, the ecstatic dance exercise. I also asked you to reflect a little bit on what your experience was like, if you experienced any difficulty, if there were many moments where you could let go, and if you let go, how did it feel? What was your feeling of surrender? So again, I'm just inviting you to reflect a little again, to get it back into your mind, what happened last week and what you experienced last week. Just think about the moments you had, if you enjoyed it also in one moment or another, just what happened in that exercise for you. And also if there are some things that you might want to apply to other areas of your life. Okay, then let's continue with, oh no, before we continue, I have a quick announcement or a quick reminder for you. And this one is very important. We are in week 4 already, right? And we have come quite a long way until now. And I want to remind you that this program is not just an exercise per week that you're doing and a couple of reflection questions. It's somehow a shift in your way of dealing with your sexuality, right? So this means that just like a diet, a short-term diet that you do maybe for, I don't know, a month, will not really give you the long-term effect, but the diet needs to become somehow integrated into your life and your lifestyle. The same thing applies here. So we talked about the PC muscle, breathing patterns, and how important a full and deep breath is, the muscle relaxation, and all of the importance that comes with letting go and surrendering also the muscles, right? And also the mind, of course. So I invite you again to continue this practice, to not stop exercising the muscle, the PC muscles that we talked about, doing the exercises, being aware of your breathing patterns, taking full and deep breaths every now and then, And also in the sexual experience, to use the breath, to use the sounding, as we talked about that also, and to also incorporate your muscle apparatus and to relax that fully in experiences where you can. So continue with that practice. Very, very, very important. I'm going to repeat it until the end of this course, but without really this foundation, everything that comes, it's going to be very difficult and challenging, and it's not going to last, or it's not going to be less sustainable, right? Good. This week, again, I have something very, very interesting and beneficial for you prepared. And we want to take everything that we have learned already now and take it one step further. And we want to understand really our sexual energy, the energy that we have, the male sexual energy. And we need to experience first with a really sharp awareness and mindfulness what this actually is, right? We really need to know what is it specifically, right? Because usually we just have a general feeling, a general sense of, yeah, if I'm aroused, this happens, and it makes me do this and that, and then I end up doing X, Y, right? But we don't really know it. We don't know the exact color or the painting it draws, right? So we need to understand its qualities, its drivers, and also the direction it has and its motivations, so where it's coming from. And also, we need to know the potential that it has if it's harnessed correctly, or if you don't like the word correctly, how it's harnessed in a beneficial way for you, right? In an aware way, or in a just in a way where you know what's happening, right? So a conscious way of using that energy. Good. Well, it's all nice and nicely said, what this energy can be. Usually what we are is more like this image. We're a slave to our sexual urges and this energy, right? We don't really know what's going on. We have one thought and we end up doing whatever, right? So all the process in between, from the sexual urge to the end, is somehow very blurry for us, and we don't really know what's happening. And we also most of the time not really capable of interrupting this thought pattern, or directing this thought pattern into a channel, into a direction where it's better for us, it's more use of us, it's in a more conscious way, etc. So we want to go from this image to this conscious, mindful, still potent, still directed sexual energy, but from a position of strength and not from a position of a slave. Right? Okay. So the exercise that we're gonna do, I call Think Sexually, and I think it very easily explains what's what the exercise is all about. So let's start. So please set a timer for 20 minutes. That's the amount of time that minimum you need for this exercise. And it's all about observation. So you don't need to be naked, you don't need to apply anything, you don't need to get into an atmosphere or whatever we already experienced and talked about. You just need 20 minutes and maybe a pillow if you want to sit on it. But you can even do it standing. Just 20 minutes in silence. And you start by just becoming aware of what's happening in your body and your mind. So just become very still. And stillness brings you and leads you then into just a general awareness of your body and your mind. observe your breath, your breathing pattern, and establish this breath, this stable breath, as your baseline. This will function as a baseline where you can always come back to when you drift off or when it's becoming too intense. Come back to the breath in that case. And then just start by initiating and giving a sexual thought an impulse into your awareness. So think any slightly stimulating thought, sexual thought. Yeah? And again, in this exercise, there is no stimulation. This exercise is for observation purpose only. Yeah? Just watch, just observe. And then ask yourself a couple of questions, all about observing, about your awareness. What can you observe? What does this thought do to you or with you? What are your first thoughts after that thought? Yeah. Where does it lead you? What does this thought make you do or make you want to do? Then what do you feel? Then where do you feel it? Like, is there any tingling, any sensation, any subtle warmth? Usually there's some heat is developing in the body. And does this sensation move through the body, or is it still stagnant, static? And where does it start? Where does it end? Yeah. So those are just guiding questions, and you don't need to remember them all. Just watch and keep those in mind, the direction of those questions in mind, and just observe. And really commit yourself to 20 minutes sitting there without doing anything, even though your mind probably will tell you otherwise. Yeah. It will start giving you impulses of activities or actions that you want to do. Either it's standing up, it's going in on a certain thought experiment, thinking it's stupid, doing something else, whatever, right? I can assure you, your thought will tell you at least one of those things, at least once. But commit yourself. 20 minutes, just doing nothing, being with your sexual thought. Only that. It requires strong determination, but I'm sure you can do it. And again, if it becomes too intense, come back to your breath and then initiate again. So be still and hold your thought and observe how this thought affects you. Yeah. And play with it also. Yeah. Be curious in that experiment or in that exercise, and be still. And I'm sure there are a lot of things you can learn from that, and you will learn from that if you're just attentive and listen to what's happening, observe. Okay, to keep it stupid simple, the exercise is as follows. Sit down, think a sexual thought, and observe. This is the more complex version of it, but this is in a few words what you have to do in 20 minutes. Sit down, think the thought, and then just observe 20 minutes. And then wait until the timer gets off and you're done. Okay? Good. And again, this week we're also going to have a reflection. And as you might already have guessed, it's again about the exercise of this week. So whatever you have learned, how your experience was like, what you learned about yourself, about the sexual energy, about the drivers, the motivations, the directions of it, what it makes you do, what it doesn't make you do, what it prevents you from doing, and so on, all of that, reflect upon it, and then also take that and contemplate on the question, how can you make use of this newly gained knowledge? Yeah. How might this knowledge about sexual energy and your personal sexual energy, how might this be of benefit to you? Yeah. So those are a couple of guiding questions, but again, just reflect on the exercise and your experience. We are already in week 4, so I hope you know already how to reflect, and I'm sure you don't need another guideline. I trust you on that. Just sit down, reflect on those questions, and this is it. If you have any questions, again, the WhatsApp group is still there for any interaction, any quick clarification questions, and so on. And yeah, wish you all the best for this week. Enjoy the exercise. Lots of good learnings. See you next week. Bye bye.